All right, hey everyone, 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins here. It is after 7 o'clock on our Wednesday evening. We are tracking Hurricane Helene, and it's strengthening, 85-mile-per-hour winds, and it's going to get stronger. In fact, Cat 4 is now expected by tomorrow, 130-mile-per-hour winds, and it will likely be at that level near landfall about 24 hours from now. It looks like 8, 9, 10 o'clock tomorrow evening up near the Tallahassee area. So let's talk about it. Number one, look, this thing just got big today, right? The tropical storm force winds extend outward of about 275 miles from the center. That's pretty big alone, okay? But if you look at the satellite representation, there's just a big pocket of moisture. And you could really draw these and get some crazy numbers, but you see I got over 1,100 miles from the south end to the northeast because it's stretched out there in some wind shear. But easily it's 400, 500 miles wide, right? So that's a big system right there. We are expecting that to continue to get a little bit better structure-wise as we go through the next 24 hours or so. And then, again, it's landfall, and it'll start to fall apart after that. You can see it went by Cancun today. Quite a bit of rain for them, right? But there's some drier air mixing in, and you're seeing that in some of those yellows and clear colors there. But that will, I think, kind of get filled back in with some moisture. Here is the 5 p.m. update from the Hurricane Center, 85-mile-per-hour winds. Look at that forecast, guys. It has it going to 110, Cat 2, by early tomorrow morning. We're talking late tonight, really, 2 a.m. Thursday. And then by 2 p.m., 12 hours later, it's a Cat 4 with 130-mile-per-hour winds, and it's going to be just about the same with landfall just south of Tallahassee is what it's looking like right now at this particular point. So, yeah, it's going to be a big one. And then after that, it will go up. And, I mean, what's even amazing is some of these watches and warnings are going to go up through Georgia. In fact, let's take a look at some of these watches and warnings. So for our neck of the woods, we have a hurricane warning for coastal Citrus, coastal Pasco, and coastal Hernando. All right? Inland Citrus, Pasco, inland Pasco, Hernando, inland, well, I guess I should take that back. That would actually be coastal. You get the idea. Hurricane warnings for the coast of Pasco all the way northward. Tropical storm warnings, everybody else. And we have a hurricane watch for the coastal areas from Hillsborough to Pinellas down to Manatee and Sarasota County. But here's what I really want to get across. Look at this tropical storm warnings, all the way up into the mountains of North Carolina. Yes, they're going to get a ton of, in fact, they're going to get more rain right up in this area here than I think we will actually get here in Florida. And hurricane warnings almost to Atlanta. Not quite that far, but almost to Atlanta. That is saying something about this storm. Now, for the Tampa area itself, and this includes Pinellas and Hillsborough especially, 5 to 8 foot storm surge. And the peak for that will be late tomorrow afternoon through the overnight hours till about 2 in the morning on Friday morning. All right? 40 to 55 mile per hour winds, gusts in the 70s. There'll be some spots that get gusts a little bit higher than that. Again, the timing is generally Thursday afternoon, Thursday night. Here are the surge forecast numbers. And guys, we haven't seen these numbers. If this were to happen, we haven't seen numbers like this in decades here in Tampa. So this is saying something. 5 to 8 foot in the Tampa Bay area, 8 to 12 in Pasco, and that went up, Pasco and Hernando, and 10 to 15 up in Crystal River, the Citrus County area. Here are the tides. Now, they're the tides for St. Pete, and they vary a little bit up and down the coast, of course. But you get the idea. There is a low tide around 5:20 on Thursday afternoon, but the water's already going to be high. We have a high tide in the morning, 8:41 a.m., and it's a high number tide, plus the actual water level is already running. This is where it should be. It's already up here by about 3/4 of a foot. And then you're going to have a high tide, about 3 foot high tide. And then you're going to push water in and go higher and higher throughout the day tomorrow. This will be a surge storm for our area. All right? Hopefully these numbers are a little bit on the high side, that 5 to 8 foot at peak. We could take 4 to 5, but even that's going to do a little bit of damage. The peak will be overnight, anywhere from 10 p.m. Thursday to 2 a.m. I think that's when we'll see the highest, and then slowly coming down. That yellow right there, that's the reason why. That's the tropical storm force winds. Okay, now they're going around kind of clockwise like this, right? So initially now they're not even blowing water in here. but they will. These are even faster winds that are blowing water in our direction. But it's the overall size. Look at this. This thing's 450 miles wide of tropical storm force winds. Again, now all of that's not pushing in the same direction. All right, don't get me wrong. I don't want you to think that. It's not all pushing towards our coast, but most of it is. All of this down here is pushing towards the coast, right? This part isn't, and this part's pushing southward, so it's not. But generally, this whole southern part here is pushing, and that's that's 200 miles worth, at least a fetch of wind pushing towards the coast, and that's the problem. Then, as the system gets closer in the center, I mean, the highest winds, you see that red right there? That's hurricane. The orange is 60-mile-per-hour winds. But as the center gets closer to us, these winds get higher. This is tomorrow at 2 p.m., and the water really starts coming up because now we're getting higher winds. Now we're getting south to southwest winds, especially by 4 or 5 o'clock. This is 5 p.m. That's when you're really going to notice the surge coming up tomorrow afternoon. So we will see those high water levels before the sun goes down tomorrow, and then they will stay high until about 2 in the morning on Friday morning. Then things will be falling apart. All right, now let's take a look at the arrival of 40-mile-per-hour winds or so. That's around 9, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So watch the bridges. Watch the Skyway mid-morning. They'll probably shut that down by lunchtime. We'll have to see because the Skyway bridge is really high, so you can get higher winds up there quicker. But then we'll have to watch the Courtney Campbell, the Gandy, of course, and the Howard Franklin. They possibly will have to shut those down, as we get into early afternoon, mid-afternoon on Thursday. Depends on what the winds look like over the bridges at that point. So preps need to be done by first thing in the morning. Here's a look at the wind forecast. Now, this is our forecast model, and our model is going further to the east. But I still think the winds look good there, which means 40s and 50s with gusts near 70 miles per hour. And that's mainly along the coast, less as you work your way inland. And then as we get into our forecast model for rain, here it is. You can see by noon into 2 o'clock on Thursday, we're seeing some rain bands come through. We will get some rain bands, but it will fill in as we go through the evening hours. This is right around 6 p.m. You can see all the heavy rain moving in. That's when you really start to see the water piling up as far as rainfall goes, right? That's not surge, that's rainfall. That is 11 p.m., and that is a lot of wind blowing onshore, plus some rain. Again, you see our model thinks it's over here. The Hurricane Center thinks it's over here. So it's going to be closer to Tallahassee if that holds. We'll see if our model handles that well. It usually does pretty good. There are the rainfall totals. You can see the highest right along the immediate coast, and especially the further north you go. Look at that up into not only Tallahassee, but look at Atlanta, the mountains. I mean, you're going to get more rain in the mountains of North Carolina than we're going to get here in Tampa with this tropical system. And with the relief there, they are going to have some issues with flooding up there, right? Not only just, they're going to get wind, they're going to get tropical storm force winds too, but they're going to get quite a bit of flooding. Okay, guys, kept you here long enough. Thank you for watching. Please take the evacuations seriously. If you are asked to evacuate, please do so. It's done for your safety and mine, and this is a storm surge storm for us, and we could get some levels we haven't seen in decades, so we're concerned about that.